Start cooking at 3 a.m. My mother-in-law snapped, handing me a 50-name guest list. And make sure everything is perfect this time. It's Grandma's 72nd. My husband added. I smiled and said, of course. But at 2 a.m., I was at the airport instead. 50 hungry relatives arrived to find an empty kitchen. My name's Aaron. I'm 33, the organized one, the person everyone calls when something needs fixing. I work as an operations coordinator for a delivery company. I live by lists and alarms. If a thing has a moving part, I can map it, schedule it, and get it across the finish line. I'm also the daughter-in-law who cooks. Not professionally, not for money, for family. For the past 4 years, every holiday, every birthday, every random, let's host Sunday lunch for the cousins. I've been the kitchen, the planner, the free caterer. People joke about my spreadsheets. Don't worry, Aaron's got it. They say it like a compliment. Most days, it feels like a leash. Saturday night, I was at my in-laws' house, standing at the counter, writing times on sticky notes. Turkey at 5 a.m., sides at 6:15. Frost cake at 8 o'clock. I'd brought my own knives because theirs are dull. I'd brought my own pans because theirs are scratched. I'd brought a cooler with pre-chopped onions, celery, herbs. It looked like a prep kitchen threw up in a suburban dining room. Ben, my husband, was on the couch scrolling. Sports on mute. My mother-in-law, Lydia, stood over me with a pen like a foreman. She handed me a paper. 50 names. Not a suggestion. A demand. Start cooking at 3 a.m. She snapped, tapping the list. We'll need breakfast snacks out by 8. Don't forget GF for Kathy, low sodium for Uncle Ray, and Nana hates time. Ben didn't look up. And make sure everything is perfect this time. It's Grandma's 72nd. He added, like last year's 10-hour roast and 12 side dishes were a C-. I needed to retake. I swallowed. I smiled. That practiced, smooth smile I've spent years using on all of them. Of course, I said. Lydia kept going. Oh, and no store-bought. Your stuff tastes better. Families shouldn't eat chemicals. I wrote, no chemicals next to deviled eggs. Like that was a normal sentence. My hand shook. I hid it by straightening the stack of foil pans. I told myself to breathe. In the corner, the portable speaker chirped. Lydia clapped. Sound check for the slideshow. Aaron, make sure the TV's calibrated. The last time the colors were weird and Mom looked ill. She smiled like it was a joke. It wasn't. Ben finally glanced over. Also, don't blow the budget like Thanksgiving, he said, still scrolling. We don't need fancy olives. Fancy olives. I had paid for those. I had paid for almost everything last time. I opened my mouth, then closed it. Not here. Not now. I could feel the words rising anyway, hot and ugly. Lydia mistook my quiet for agreement. Great. I'll go to bed so I'm fresh to host, she said, patting my shoulder like I was the help clocking in. Set your alarm, honey. I set my phone on the counter and stared at the lock screen. 9:41 p.m. A photo of me and Ben from 3 years ago, both of us sunburned, smiling, holding plastic cups at a beach bar. I barely recognized that girl. Aaron, Lydia called from the hallway. Don't forget to iron the tablecloths after you finish the frosting. Last time there were lines. It was distracting. Sure, I said to no one. Ben yawned. Wake me if you need me. He mumbled, which meant don't. I washed a mixing bowl I'd already washed. I lined up foil trays in perfect rows. I wrote down more times I knew by heart. My reflection in the dark kitchen window looked small and tired. I tried to picture 50 happy faces tomorrow, tried to find the joy in it. It didn't arrive. What did arrive, quietly, like a tap on the shoulder, was a question I'd been shoving away for months. What if I just didn't? The thought scared me. Then it steadied me. I dried my hands, put the list in a drawer, and locked my jaw so the words in my throat stayed where they were. I can take a lot. I have taken a lot. But something about that paper, those 50 names, the exact time for me to start being useful. Clicked something over. I pulled out my phone, opened my notes app, wrote 3 words. Not doing this. Then I deleted them, because even seeing them on the screen felt too loud. I set an alarm for 2 a.m., but not for the oven. I cleaned the counter like I always do. I put plastic wrap over the batter like I always do. I stacked napkins and polished the serving spoons because habits are bones inside you. Good night, I said, and no one answered. Here's how this became my job. When Ben and I got married, I was making more. I had benefits and a steady schedule. He was freelancing, promising that next quarter was when he'd really take off. I didn't mind. I grew up in a house where you pitched in and didn't keep score. Lydia loved that about me. You're a doer, she'd tell me, hugging me with one arm and handing me a roll of tape with the other. You're the only one who gets things right. At first it felt like belonging. Then it became normal. The first Christmas, the caterer fell through. I said I'd handle it. It was fun. I made cookies in shapes that matched the ornaments. People raved. "You're incredible," Lydia said, like a blessing. Easter, the bakery messed up the order, and somehow I was up at dawn whisking lemon curd. 4th of July, the grill wouldn't light, and I was marinating chicken on the porch while Ben filmed a TikTok with the cousins. By the second year, there wasn't a caterer to fall through. There was just me. It wasn't only the kitchen. It was money, too, but we didn't call it that. It was, "Can you spot us? And we'll settle up later." It was me picking up the check because Ben forgot his wallet. It was Lydia saying, "Family shouldn't nickel and dime," and squeezing my hand like I was being welcomed into something noble. When Ben's car died, we bought a used one. The loan was in my name because my credit was better. When he said his student loan servicer was a nightmare, I added it to autopay. "Just until the freelance stuff stabilizes," he said. When Lydia decided her dishwasher was unsafe because it didn't have a third rack, we surprised Mom with a new one. The invoice went to me because I was quickest with forms. If I ever hesitated, Lydia had a line for that, too. "We're family. You're not like an in-law. You're ours." Ben had his line. "You're better at this stuff." If I cried, I was too sensitive. If I asked where the money went, I was controlling. If I said I was tired, I got told I was dramatic. Sometimes, I'd bring up boundaries. I'd say, "We need to budget." Ben would say, "We are budgeting." Lydia would say, "Don't be cold." She always said cold, like it was the worst thing a woman could be. 2 summers ago, we planned a trip for our anniversary. I booked a cabin by a lake. 2 days before, Lydia called. "Your father-in-law's knee is acting up. We need you to move the washer to the basement and reorganize the garage." "You're strong." Ben looked at me like, "You know we have to." We did. We canceled. We spent the weekend sweating, hauling boxes while Lydia stood in flip-flops directing traffic with a straw hat on. She ordered sandwiches and called it even. Last fall, I got promoted. It came with a bonus. Ben said, "That takes the pressure off." Lydia said, "We should celebrate," and sent me a Pinterest board for a proper engagement party for his sister, Tasha. Somehow, I was paying the deposit on the venue to secure the date, and picking up custom cookies because the ones at the store taste like chemicals. Tasha cried when she saw the setup. "You're basically my mom," she told me. I smiled, feeling like a stand-in. There were little uglies, too. I'd find my pantry raided after they stopped by to feed the cat. We don't have a cat. I'd see a charge on our shared card for Family Grocer, and know Lydia had used the card just this once for bulk shrimp. Ben would shrug. "We'll settle it." We never did. "You know, Mom. She forgets." He said it like a weather report. Unchangeable. The joke stung most. At Thanksgiving, Uncle Rick clinked a glass. "To Aaron, the engine of this family." Everyone cheered. Ben put his arm around me. Lydia wiped a fake tear. I smiled. Later, washing a mountain of dishes while everyone else watched a game, I asked Ben to help. "In a sec," he said. I stood there with prune fingers until the commercials. 2 months ago, I said I was burnt out. I said I wanted to host something small at our place, just friends. No family. I wanted to make boxed brownies and drink from mismatched glasses and not iron anything. Lydia laughed. "You don't mean that," she said. "We just bring out the best in you." Then last week, the group chat blew up with heart emojis. "Nana turns 72. Lydia wrote, "Aaron, we'll do it at our house, so you have the space." Same format as last year, but more salmon because Gary's new girlfriend doesn't eat chicken and she's so sweet. I stared at that message for a long time. I typed, "We could order in," and deleted it. I typed, "Let's split costs," and deleted it. I typed, "I can't," and deleted it so fast my finger hurt. Thursday night, Ben put his hand on my back while I chopped onions. "You know it's easier if you just say yes," he said. "Less drama." Friday, I was at Lydia's, labeling spices, when she pulled me aside. I told everyone you're doing it. Don't make me look silly. I could feel a pulse in my temple. I nodded because that's what I do. Going along has been my survival tactic since I was a kid in a house where keeping the peace was the only thing that mattered. But then Lydia handed me the 50-name list and said, "Start at 3 a.m., like a boss scheduling a worker for a double shift, and Ben added, "Make it perfect," like I was an employee on probation. That was the seam. It split. And the little "not doing this" in my notes stopped being a thought and became a plan. It wasn't about food. It was about the tally I kept in my head, the one I never said out loud. The dishwasher. The car. The endless, "just this once." The time. The energy. The way Lydia praised me when I gave and sliced me when I paused. The way Ben sitting on a couch felt like a verdict on my worth. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want a scene. I wanted out. So I knew, standing in that kitchen with the sticky notes and the dull knives and the no chemicals, exactly what I was going to do. At 1:45 a.m., the house was silent. I'd set 3 alarms so I wouldn't chicken out. I changed in the guest bathroom with the fan on so the light wouldn't wake anyone. Jeans, hoodie, sneakers. I put my hair in a knot. I put my phone and charger in my tote next to my passport, just in case. I'd bought a one-way ticket at 10 p.m. with shaking hands. Using miles I'd been saving for a trip I kept rescheduling for family things. I left the kitchen as it was. The foil pans. The list tucked in the drawer. The sticky notes with times in neat black ink. A quiet, empty stage. I stood in the doorway and listened for footsteps. None. I wrote a note on the pad by the fridge. Gone to the airport. Not cooking. Do not call me until after the party. E. I put a smiley face next to my initial so I wouldn't look cruel. The smiley felt like a lie. I took Lydia's spare key off my ring and set it next to the note. At 2 a.m., I slipped out the front door and locked it behind me. The air was cold and tasted like freedom and panic. I didn't go far, just to the end of the block. I waited. Part of me expected a window to fly open, Lydia to scream my name, Ben to come running in socks. Nothing. The street was empty. The quiet made the whole thing feel fake, like I was in a movie where no one wakes up at the exact moment they should. My Lyft driver was cheery. Airport this early? Business or pleasure? Neither, I said. Self-preservation. He laughed like I was joking. At the airport, the light was too bright. Travelers moved through the terminal like ghosts. I checked my bag and kept my tote. I went through security. I kept expecting to turn around and go back. I kept waiting for the guilt to crush me. It didn't. At 2:37 a.m., my phone lit up. Ben, did you move my charger? Then, where are you? Then, Mom's asking about the eggs. I turned my phone face down on the plastic chair and watched the cleaning crew buff the floor. Boarding started at 3:15. I was in a window seat. A man in a suit took the aisle and fell asleep before we took off. While the plane taxied, I opened the family group chat and typed, "I won't be cooking today." I stared at the words. I deleted them. I typed, "Please don't call me today." Deleted that too. I put my phone on airplane mode and watched the runway lights disappear. That was the first yes to myself I've said in years. When the plane landed just before dawn, I turned my phone back on. It exploded. Missed calls. Texts. The group chat was a wall of notifications. Ben, are you serious? Lydia, what kind of stunt is this? Tasha, where's the salmon? I don't see any salmon. Ben again, you're embarrassing me. And then Lydia, with that edge she saves for when I don't behave. Aaron, you better not ruin today. I didn't answer. Not yet. Let the silence do some work for once. Instead, I walked to a corner of the terminal, bought a bad coffee, and let my hand stop shaking. I watched the sun smear orange over the parked planes. I breathed until my ribs loosened. At 7:58 a.m., Lydia sent a photo of the empty counter. People are arriving. At 8:01, this is cruel. At 8:03, you can still fix this if you hurry. I typed my first reply of the day. No. I hit send. Then I turned off read receipts because I didn't need to see their eyes on my words. The reason people like Lydia win is because they make the cost of saying no higher than the cost of surrender. They make you pick your pain. I had always picked surrender. Today, I didn't. At 8:30 a.m., my phone rang with Ben's name. I let it go to voicemail. At 8:32, it rang again. Voicemail. At 8:34, I texted, "I will talk after the party. Not during. Not before." He replied immediately. "You abandoned my family." I typed slowly. "I declined unpaid labor." Same thing, he wrote. There it was. Plain. At 9:05, Lydia tried. "Do you know how humiliating this is?" she wrote. "We have 72 pastries and no eggs. No bacon, nothing hot. People are whispering." I didn't reply. At 9:17, Tasha sent a photo of a Costco rotisserie chicken on the counter, ripped open, steam rising. "This looks ugly," she wrote, like she was talking about me. I was sitting on a bench outside the airport by then, watching shuttles pull up and leave. I'd booked a small hotel downtown. I'd packed a book I wasn't reading. I wasn't hungry, but I bought a muffin so the barista wouldn't worry about me. At 10:02, my friend Sienna texted, "Hey, are you okay?" Ben called me. He sounds heated. I told her where I was. She sent back a map pinned for a quiet coffee shop and a heart. "Sit with me," she said. "No questions unless you want them." While I waited for her, I opened my photos and started scrolling. Screenshots on screenshots. Receipts with my name. The dishwasher invoice. The surprise venue deposit email. The message from Lydia last summer. Can you put the caterer on your card? I don't want to mess with my points. The group chat where I wrote, let's split costs evenly, and got 3 versions of, we'll talk later. We never talked later. I kept it all, not as ammo, but because some part of me knew I'd need to prove to myself I wasn't imagining things. At 11:40, I got a text from a number I didn't have saved. This is Kathy, GF Kathy, it said. I'm sorry they're being awful. I brought my own muffins. I hope you're okay. It made me laugh. There are always witnesses. At noon, Sienna and I sat with our knees touching in a half-empty cafe. She didn't do the thing where people say, but they mean well. She stirred her tea and said, good, good. I said, you left, she said. Good. We didn't say much else. Sometimes silence is a better friend than advice. By 1, the text shifted from anger to bargaining. Ben, if you come now, we won't be mad. Lydia, we can say you got stuck in traffic. Tasha, I'll post a story and tag you as the amazing chef if you get here by 2. I put my phone face down. At 2, they tried a new angle. Ben, you owe us. Lydia, after everything we've done for you. The word, oh, did something to me. It lit up every moment I'd swallowed, every time I'd paid, carried, cooked, planned, ironed, smiled, apologized for not being grateful enough while being drained like an ATM with legs. At 2:27, I opened the group chat and wrote, I don't owe anyone unpaid labor. I am not your caterer, house manager, or dishwasher. For 4 years, I have cooked, organized, and paid for events without repayment and without thanks. Today I opted out. That is all. Then I dropped a short, dry list. Thanksgiving, $436.42 groceries, $89.90 extra pans, me. Tasha's engagement, $500 venue deposit, me. $182 cookies, me. Dishwasher, $1, $129.00 me. Easter, $274.19 groceries, me. 4th of July, $2 10.55 meats plus sides, me. None of this was split, I wrote. All of it was framed as family. I'm done. I hovered over send. My heart pounded so hard my fingers tingled. Then I hit it. The chat went quiet. For 20 minutes, nothing. Then Lydia. Wow. Keeping receipts? That's cold. There it was. Cold. She'd finally reached for her favorite insult. I typed, cold is cooking for 50 people on 4 hours of sleep for 0 pay while being told not to blow the budget with olives. Ben chimed in. You're embarrassing me in front of my family. I typed, your family has been embarrassing me in front of myself for years. Tasha, so, are you coming or not? I didn't answer. At 3:15, a photo popped up in the chat. Lydia had arranged deli meats on a tray in the shape of 72. It looked obscene. Under it, see? We survive without drama. I put my phone away and laughed until I cried. Not mean tears. Relief tears. The kind that come when the floor under you finally stops moving. At 5, the party ended. Aunt Joan texted me privately. I had no idea you were footing the bills. That's not right. Then, I'm proud of you, whether they ever say it or not. At 6, Ben showed up at Sienna's. He didn't knock. He banged. I stepped outside so he wouldn't yell in the cafe. He started loud. What you did today. I held up a hand. If you're going to shout, leave, I said. He lowered his voice, but not by much. My mother cried. So did I said. For 4 years. You humiliated me. I protected myself. You could have told me. I did. Many times. He clenched his jaw. We're married. I know, I said. I checked my ring hand before I left. Then act like it. Like what? I asked. Like a servant? Like a wallet? Like a PR shield so your mom doesn't have to feel the consequences of her choices. He didn't answer. He did that thing where he stares at a spot just over my shoulder like the words he needs are floating there. Come home, he said finally. We can talk there. Not tonight, I said. I booked a hotel. He stared. With whose money? I actually laughed at that. Mine, I said. He swallowed, then played the card I knew he'd save for last. Family is everything. No, I said, calm now. Respect is. He shook his head, disgusted. You're different. I hope so, I said. He left with a parting shot. Everyone thinks you're selfish, like a curse. Inside, Sienna handed me a napkin and a glass of water. You didn't throw any knives, she said softly. I'm proud. That night, I turned off my phone. I slept like I hadn't in months. No lists in my head. No alarms that weren't mine. The quiet wasn't scary. It was wide. In the days after, I did things that look small and are not. I canceled the auto pay on Ben's loans and told him to set up his own. I removed Lydia from our shared card. I changed the Amazon password. I took the spare key off my ring and left it in a bag on their porch with a note. Keys are for people who knock. I made one final spreadsheet, but this one was for me. Expenses I cover. Time I spend. Lines I will not cross. It wasn't about pennies. It was about practice. I started saying no out loud, without apology glitter on top. No, I won't host. No, I won't pay for that. No, I won't explain myself 12 different ways so you can call me cold in 13. Some people got quieter around me. Some got louder. Lydia sent 2 long texts about how family shows up. I didn't answer. Tasha subtweeted me with a picture of a charcuterie board and the caption, "We thrive." I hearted it. Let her thrive. A funny thing happened. The world didn't end. The people at work didn't think I was mean. They thought I was focused. The cashier at the corner store didn't sense my lack of eggs and judge me. She liked my earrings. Ben slept on the couch for a week, then at his mother's. He texted things like, "So this is it, and you win," like either of those were the point. I didn't reply to those either. When he asked if I'd go to therapy with him, I said yes, with a condition. We talk about boundaries there, not olives. The first session, he said, she changed overnight. The therapist asked, "Or did she stop changing for you?" He stared at the carpet. I stared at my hands and felt something like grief and something like relief sit next to each other and not fight. 3 weeks later, I bought a set of knives for my own kitchen. Sharp ones. Not for Lydia's drawers. For me. I made boxed brownies and ate one warm with a glass of milk in a chipped mug. It tasted like the first breath after you've been holding it underwater. One afternoon, Kathy, GF Kathy, emailed me a recipe for a quinoa salad and a note. "Come to my book club. No cooking required." I went. We sat on floors and argued about endings, and nobody handed me a list. Here's what I know now. I was useful, so they called it love. I was compliant, so they called it kindness. I was quiet, so they called it peace. When I stopped, they called me cold. They call me selfish. They call me dramatic. They will keep calling me names as long as those names get them free food and free labor and free cover from the discomfort of having to do things themselves. I am not the names they gave me. I am the person who set an alarm for herself and walked out of a house where her usefulness mattered more than her joy. I am the person who said no and survived the silence that came after. I am the person who kept receipts, not to ruin anyone, but to remind herself she wasn't making it up. I used to think choosing myself would make me hard. It didn't. It made me soft in the places that were clenched all the time: jaw, stomach, fists. It made me easier to be with. I laugh more. I sleep. When I say yes now, it's a yes you can stand on.